Welcome back to The Watch, and for God of War fans, I can't apologize. It's not my fault. In fact, I've worked very actively to try and prevent this from happening, but for reasons outside of our control, your property is about to get rafed hard, without its consent. And I sympathize. Do you guys know about this?
Partly so. Rafe Judkins has made Wheel of Time. He's also produced things like the Uncharted movie, which you all know and love and remember. He was also came third place in a season of Survivor. That is his things on IMDb.
A very, successful track record.
Yes, and now he's, after, ruining Wheel of Time, he's now going to go on to God of War.
Yeah, do you know much about any of this, Tone?
Apart from what you just said, that's about it.
That's about it? You're a fan of God of War, though, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. You looking forward to a live-action adaptation?
I don't think that they'll ruin it.
Really?
Let me rephrase that. The God of War fans are a particular type of tism. And they are... take something like Rings of Power, right? Mm-hmm. They tried to adapt the Silmarillion, but there's stuff up to interpretation. From all my understanding of everything, there is gaps that they obviously very terribly failed at, but there's wiggle room. Let's put it that way. With Halo, I can kind of say there's maybe some wiggle room as well. With God of War, there really isn't. We have all the games, we have the beginning of the story, what happens in all the stories, all the way up to, I don't know what story they're going to try to adapt. I don't know what time period, what Kratos are we getting? I just don't know any of these things.
But this is Rafe Judkins.
I didn't watch Wheel of Time.
Okay,
I know nothing about Wheel of Time.
Let's give you some background. He's an activist who specifically goes out of his way to do two horribly detrimental things. One, inject political, ideological narratives. He said blatantly, and he came through, he was honest about this, that he would absolutely be injecting his feminist, beliefs into the Wheel of Time, which totally hijacked the show, ruining so many arcs and moments, right? And so there's that. And then he loves to get off on creating his own lore, his own story and stuff, because with the Wheel of Time, they had so much material to work with. And he had the gall to say that we're going to be condensing it. We have to cut things because there's so much to work with. And so therefore we have to condense it. And then, far from leaving things out of the book because there wasn't enough room in the show, he made up his own crap. There are full episodes that are just made up bull crap. So the fact that things were cut because of they couldn't fit it in was a lie. They cut things because he just wanted to get off on making his own crap and because he felt he could do better.
And there are drafts he's made for certain seasons which are completely disconnected from anything in the books. It's his fan fiction, basically.
Yeah. It's one of the drafts for episode 1 of Wheel of Time was a sex scene between Matt and someone else where a lady was on Matt's head while he was... and specifically saying, we will focus on the female's pleasure, not the men's pleasure. That's the type of stuff he wants to write.
Which kind of fits in for God of War, some of the older game stuff, but at the same time I feel like...
Okay, but the issue I have with it is...
Aren't there mini games in God of War where he's banging people off
screen and there's things going... But at the same time, I feel like the audience for God of War has since matured, and even then, I don't know, I could be wrong here, Tyrant, but that wasn't the main focus of the game.
The main focus is Kratos killing everything.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm so confused about this. Don't get me wrong. Could a live adaptation of God of War work? I mean, maybe. I love God of War. I just don't understand how, because it's not like there's all these characters and plots and arcs. It's
you go and you find someone and you kill them, and then you go and find someone else and you kill them.
It's basically that for the first 3-4 games.
Yeah, and so you would think a God of War live-action adaptation would be a testosterone-filled action,
There's
violence,
literally nothing else it can be.
High-octane... Well,
but this is the thing. It's what else could it be? There's not other characters for it's not the same as all these other things that have been ruined. That's why I don't understand. Like, how could you ruin it? I would love to hear how someone could ruin it, because I'm just fascinated.
Tyrant, have you not seen the trash record?
Oh, I've seen it all.
We have many examples of how they can ruin this.
I have seen it all.
Kratos is going to be a toxic white guy, and remember, he's particularly white because he gets covered in the ashes.
Yes.
All right, so he's very white, right?
Yes, but I mean, like, what character is there to like usurp him or whatever? That's what I don't like. There's nobody there to do that.
One of the female goddesses, or is going to get a new made-up character who will be a woman that's going to be better than him, or teach him the right way, or show how bad toxic he is.
That literally doesn't make sense for any of the
Really?
story.
Because some of the changes
will
in Wheel
do-
of Time didn't make sense either, Tyrant.
They will do what they do in Halo, and they'll have an opening shot with like Kratos killing someone, and then go off to these side characters talk about plot points for 45 minutes, and then the next episode will be him killing someone else, and then we'll get plot points of other people. Like there's going to be just side characters and now the main characters.
But you know what they're going to do? They're going to ignore the Greek arc. They're going to start with when his, in
the remakes.
In the remakes, right? And then it's going to be about his son and about how much of an abusive bad father he is. And the mum will probably have a much more important...
Mum will be alive.
Yeah.
But see, this is the thing, right? It's like, I don't think we need live adaptations of the rebooted stuff, right? Because if you put all the cutscenes together, it's like 8
It's a
hours.
movie anyway.
And it's beautiful. It's fantastic. Like, you don't need a live adaptation of that.
Funny, you don't need a lot of these live
Like
action
Last of Us
adaptations.
as well didn't need it, but they still did it.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Neil Druckmann.
I'm not defending any of this. I want to make this very
Yeah.
clear. I'm just... When
You
I
can't create something in your head that actually tells you what this is going to be.
like usually when we say, Halo's going to be dumb stuff. Oh, okay, all right. I know exactly how they're going to do it. Like, you have reference for these things. It's just the God of War story doesn't have the elements that these people usually need to ruin the things. That's what I'm...
That will not stop them, sir.
Like, the only time I could think if they really wanted to ruin stuff would be with the reboot stuff.
Like, you know what they might try and justify? Like the Greeks were known for having, being pretty, flexible in their kind of sexual preferences.
The whole story is
they're gonna make Kratos
Kratos'
gay.
wife and daughter get killed by him.
The possibilities of how they're going to ruin this are endless, right?
Yeah.
And here is something really weird that Rafe did with Wheel of Time, right? Like, they wanted to try and be kind of a bit mature and dark, and so there's some really violent moments, and then there's some kind of explicit nudity here and there in it, right? And like they were trying to get the Game of Thrones formula. But what's really weird, and I think, let's avoid nudity completely. And it's not to say that there can't be actual uses of it that benefit certain story beats and everything. But I say let's avoid pornographic stuff. But okay, Rafe Judkins, he did that, right? With middle-aged to old women that are looking unattractive. Right. And I was really confusing as to who is he trying to attract with those scenes. I wouldn't be attracted with the scenes anyway. But
I don't think he was.
Yeah, but you can see what these scenes in, say, Game of Thrones were trying to achieve, right? It's pretty blatant obvious. But what were they doing with the Wheel of Time scenes? Why were they even there?
You're asking me like I've watched it.
I know, it's bizarre.
I'm not going to watch it.
But Rafe Judkins is actually gay. And so...
No, I think his purpose was to make you feel uncomfortable.
You feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, because the whole show made me feel uncomfortable.
Because I was
just in
wondering if
terms
he
of-
just doesn't understand what men find attractive in their...
I think there's enough people around him to say that's not something that
Yeah.
you kind of want. I think his main thing and gripe is just he hates the fans and wants to make everyone bitter about something. And if he puts things in like that, he can then deflect like, oh, you don't think they're beautiful? Everyone's beautiful, like stuff like that, where it's
Yeah.
like,
Sorry,
he's got
I
ammunition.
don't want to see any naked people. Like, right?
Full
I'm
stop.
married. I don't need it, right? But then when you're also going to be throwing middle-aged got naked people, it's like, what?
Again, like you said, there's purpose in the story, but I feel like he just inserts it because he wants to insert things. Like,
It really fell into the same kind of narrative where the ultra crazy, activists and stuff have a problem with traditional beauty standards and stuff. And that's the male gaze. No, we're not going to make our characters attractive, which is weird because some of the people in Wheel of Time could actually look, when you see them dolled up, be attractive, but then they kind of went out of the way to make them look even worse in the show.
Does Sony have any involvement in the God of War series?
I don't know. All I know is it's an Amazon production, which makes sense because Rafe Judkins works with Amazon with Wheel of Time, and he's the showrunner for it. Because Wheel of Time did so great.
Like, Sony is not stupid in terms of, like, they know what's popular and not. And then what happens is they've been lulled in this false sense of security with these Madam Web and like Venom and stuff like that. Because we had a superhero boon for like 10 years. Now we're at the end of it. So all the low tier superheroes are falling at the wayside. And I don't see Sony being like, yeah, just destroy God of War. Yeah, do that.
Well, then why would Sony let Rafe Judkins be the showrunner?
That's what I mean. I don't.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right?
But that doesn't even make sense from any sort of point of view. Why would you let someone who has 2 IMDb credits helm such a mammoth franchise?
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense.
Wheel of Time should have been.
Is that an Amazon thing or is that a Sony thing?
I think it's Amazon, but the Wheel of Time should have been a massive thing, and it was totally ruined by this guy. And there are activists that love it, right? But Wheel of Time died with views. Like, a larger reach of it was nothing.
I know you like Wheel of Time. I'm not being me. But I'd never heard of Wheel of Time before I came here. Like,
in the fantasy world, it's big.
Everybody's heard of God of War. Even people who don't play the games know of God of War.
My mum wouldn't have.
You think?
Yeah.
Shad, there's
But
also
neither my parents, they don't even know what like a Nintendo is, you know?
Maybe not a... But look, perhaps I think you have a point that God of War is a larger franchise, or more well-known, at least. And it is bizarre that they would hand over the reins of God of War to a guy who is an avowed feminist, doesn't like, what Kratos is like a masculine, testosterone-driven, violent action. The whole franchise is just that, drowning in that. And they'd give it to this guy who... He was so determined to not have a man save a woman in Wheel of Time that he edited so Egwene literally teleports out of being tied in a chair to stop a man from saving her. Like, it was insane. And then he went out of his way to make all the male characters, which, by the way, these male characters were the primary protagonists of the series, right? To be secondary in prominence to the female characters, and also made them weak, cowardly, pathetic losers. And in the finale of Wheel of Time Season 2, the main character, the big character, the Dragon Reborn, the big guy, he gets saved consecutively 3 times in a row by 3 other women, where in the book, he was the one doing the saving and winning and fighting the bad guy. But no, we need to make sure the women are going to save the guy because men bad. Like that's how much of an insane extremist this guy is, that he will bastardize the material just to push his narrative. That's what you're going to get with God of War.
It doesn't even make sense, though. How do you have so little accreditations and then you get...
Because people fail up in Hollywood.
That's...
It's retarded, but it happens all the time. You would think someone who wrote such a dog crap script for like, I don't know, Indiana Jones or Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, the like same thing would do is like, oh, you're fired. Like Kathleen Kennedy, you helped produce the thing, you're out. You lost us hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay, I've done some research, and apparently the people who are also helping make this wrote The Expanse.
Which seasons?
The first 2. See, that's what people were like, oh, Rafe Judkins ruined Wheel of Time, but then they're like, well, The Expanse...
It was okay.
I like The Expanse, but it's Rafe Judkins.
So I just wonder how much control he has, because I feel like as well, with Uncharted, I think he helped produce it or executive produced or whatever, so, more producers kind of have more say with what. Where with Wheel of Time, he was the showrunner. He kind of had control and wrote the scripts and everything. So I wonder how much...
Well, he had input in the scripts.
Yeah, I wonder how much writing and involvement he has on God of War.
As showrunner, I think he has some pretty...
Wheel of Time, yeah. He basically...
But as showrunner on God of War, I think as showrunner, he would just say, no, I don't like that, change that in the script. Right?
So
That's how it works,
there's
isn't
other
it?
people there who I would hope fight back for a good story.
Like that helps. Henry Cavill, he fought for Witcher. Didn't achieve.
And then he got fired, basically. Yeah. But so I don't know. It's kind of we have to wait and see to see what actually happens, because I don't know what he's going to do. Like Tyrant's been saying, because it's like it's going to be like Halo, where they basically replace things so much that we've been watching like the snippets of the season 2, and there are segments that just aren't Halo. So there might be that with God of War.
Yeah, I'm almost expecting that. I wonder, like, Amazon they deflect and they cope massively. They will, lie, bold-faced, say, Wheel of Time was a great season. It was not. It was hated by most fans, and then people who were not even familiar with the series didn't even give it the time of day. They were checked out after season 1, ruined it completely, and then you only have the crazy fans that will defend it to death because it pushes the party line and pushes the narrative. And so they were the ones who were the Reddit warriors who were like, if you said anything negative about Wheel of Time TV show in any of these main forums on Reddit, yeeted completely, banned instantly, right? And so they were really trying to control the narrative. But what was really like eye-opening was the interest in season 2 of Wheel of Time. No one gave a crap.
No.
All right. Then they give this guy
God of War, which is like such a big IP right now. Like with the reboots and stuff, I think it's come back into the pop culture sphere of being something really people love.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to make this successful.
Oh,
make
no.
it testosterone-filled, action, bloody gore, crazy fest, and you would have a winning formula. Guess what? People actually like crazy, violent action.
You know what's funny? I would be upset, sure, but I wouldn't be as upset over I don't know, The Mandalorian season 3 or any of the pointless spin-offs we get in Star Wars or all these things like that, because we have so many good God of War games already. Like, we've already...
You've fed well.
Yeah, I'm fed well. It's like Superman. We don't actually have a Superman game or this game, and that's why Suicide Squad, we hated it so much. With the God of War, I'm like, I'm good. Yeah. So,
Go
like,
back and play Valhalla.
yeah, like, it really is like that. Huh. So if I had all the Superman content that I wanted and I had all the Star Wars content, I would be less annoyed at all these things.
Less cynical at the world, yeah?
So I kind of get what you're saying in part in terms like, I have no desire to watch a God of War show because if I wanted a cinematic experience with God of War, I'd play the games. It's all there.
Yeah.
So will there be any interest? I don't know. I'll see.
Oh, yes.
You reckon there'll be
Yes,
lots of interest?
Yeah, there'll be a massive amount of interest.
Well, we'll see what happens with it because it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
As always, stay on watch.